Hey everyone, this is Gypsy. I'm finally free.
Is it fair that he is incarcerated for life for killing your mom and you're out?
Well, I'm sure that we both have a lot of regrets. All I can really say is that I did my time. He's doing his time for his part. And I wish him well on his journey. For me, I have to focus on myself right now. I can't look in the past and worry about him or anything else going on. I have to prioritize myself in this moment. And so what I do on the anniversary is I play one of her favorite songs and I allow myself that time to cry. And I mean bawl cry, because I feel like I can't do it in front of other people because I'm afraid of being judged for it, because they're probably gonna make some kind of snarky comment like, well, you killed her. This was actually his mother's, so it's passed down to me. And it fits perfectly. It didn't need to be adjusted at all or anything.
Well, I guess it was just meant to be.
Meant to be, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You are the one, as you said on the green.
Right.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Trauma Pond HQ. My name's Olivia and this is where we sit by the pond and we have a little chat. Gypsy Rose was released not that long ago and everybody has been tearing her apart for a multitude of reasons because she's not doing herself any favours about how she is talking about her experiences. I am not disputing what Gypsy Rose went through was absolutely horrible. If anything, there's something about Munchausen by proxy. It is actually my favourite thing to look at. Like, I look at all Munchausen by proxy cases just to see how similar they can be in certain ways. The thing that I find very interesting about Munchausen by proxy is the fact that a lot of people see it just as a mental illness. This is the thing. I'm not willing to put it into a mental illness category, like depression, anxiety, all that sort of thing. This is a personality problem. And when you look at the list of people who have been caught with Munchausen by proxy, it's quite terrifying, the fact that most of them are women. It is primarily a woman disorder. So instead of talking so much about Gypsy Rose and the fact that clearly her personality has developed into something not exactly desirable, yeah, there's certain things with Gypsy Rose that is quite scary. And I do hope that Gypsy cannot have children, because in a lot of cases, the apple does not fall that far from the tree. And I'm not saying that she would have Munchausen's herself, but I'm seeing cluster B traits in her interviews. So the idea of her having kids is quite scary. You might be able to learn from the experiences that you have as a child, but entitlement is something that a lot of people believe that they are entitled to. And no, you're not. Digressing away from Gypsy Rose herself, I thought we would actually look more at Munchausen by proxy because for some strange reason, like I said, people are not actually taking this one very seriously. And I have actually got into some good debates in my classes about this particular disorder and how different it can be for a lot of people. But I've actually been able to convince some of my lecturers that for a lot of cases, I'm not saying all cases, Munchausen by proxy is not that different from the Dark Triad. So I thought we'd get into it. Hey guys, if you're enjoying the episodes of Trauma Pond HQ, do a little favor for me and hit that like button for this video, subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so that you don't miss another episode. All right, back to the rest of it. Okay. If you look at the best known cases of Munchausen by proxy, which kind of involved murder, it involved murder. You have Mary Beth Tinning, you have Beverly Abbott, you have Lucy Letby. These are very extreme cases of Munchausen by proxy. They're all very closely linked with the Dark Triad. Now, the Dark Triad consists of narcissism, psychopathy, and Machiavellianism. That is one hell of a cocktail that we primarily associate with men.
Isn't that right, Sister Michael? You terrify me.
But if you take that cocktail and put it into women, because the biological makeup of women is so different, it doesn't matter if you have the same personality traits, the biology of women, they know how to work to their advantages. The same way men with the Dark Triad work to their advantages. Men are naturally stronger. They are naturally more aggressive. So if they're in the Dark Triad, those particular aspects of what makes a man is going to be so much more significant and untamed.
Here's Johnny!
Whereas if you put the Dark Triad into women, it's a nurturing persona. Women work to their strongest point. Women are naturally nurturers. They are caregivers. That's why Lucy Letby and Beverly Abbott were nurses. The narcissism of them is that they were entitled to do things to certain people, which then links it to the Machiavellianism, where they were willing to commit a crime towards babies. And then, of course, the psychopathy meant that it didn't matter how they got that entitling hero complex. It would mean putting another person in danger. Now, for some strange reason, when we talk about Munchausen by proxy, we don't actually associate the fact that Munchausen by proxy is that dangerous. Dangerous to the point where you could actually kill someone.
You were keeping her sick.
The narcissism involved means that they are getting something in return. I've said this many times before, narcissistic people will only ever use you as a toy or a tool. You are nothing else to them. That's why I say that you are actually a lot more likely to have a better relationship with a psychopath than you are with a narcissist. If a psychopath can actually see value in you, they will actually protect you. Whereas a narcissist will only ever use you to boost themselves up and throw you under the bus at any given circumstance. And yes, psychopaths do have narcissistic tendencies, but the psychopathy will override the narcissism. If they see that what they do is actually meaning that you could potentially leave and they don't have the agenda to want to kill people, they're going to want to keep you around, meaning that they're not going to want to abuse you very much. Dr. Kevin Dutton is actually a leading expert in the field of antisocial personality disorder, and he co-wrote a book with a man called Andy McNabb. He found that Andy McNabb was a psychopath, but he actually had his own interpretation of how he was able to control his mind. That it's like a DJ board, that you can move the dials to suit certain situations. Narcissistic people don't have that ability.
Is that difficult?
But we don't associate Munchausen by proxy with the Dark Triad because Munchausen by proxy actually sounds like a mental illness. And it's because we don't actually associate the words Munchausen by proxy with the same as the words for psychopath, Machiavellian, or narcissistic. The word association with Munchausen by proxy has now got a new association of what our minds protect us from. So for instance, the word bigot has no meaning anymore because it's being overused for the wrong circumstances. Bigots are using it to describe other people as bigoted. So now every time people use the word bigot, it doesn't mean anything.
You're just a bigot. You can go.
Oh, what makes me a bigot, ma'am? Or sir? I'm not sure. I didn't misgender you, did I?
Oh, please, go fuck yourself.
The same way that Munchausen by proxy doesn't have the same association with psychopathy or narcissism, because it doesn't sound like it's worth anything. And this is how different we treat people with Munchausen by proxy. As an example, Beverly Abbott was a child murderer from the early 90s. Strange thing is, I remember that case like it was yesterday whenever it was being broadcast. Maybe that's why I'm so fascinated with true crime. Because she was diagnosed with Munchausen by proxy, she didn't get tried as a normal person who had committed murder. She was tried as a person with a mental illness. There is no situation at all where a mental illness can override the very fact that you are willing to kill a child. So see how we are actually willing to forgive a Munchausen by proxy diagnosis over a psychopathy diagnosis, except a psychopath might not kill, or they could kill for other reasons, such as they might have a big passion to want to kill people who are hurting children. I mean, I'm not upset with that. Sexually assault a child? Yeah, you do deserve the electric chair. But yet, kill a child? To forgive someone because they have Munchausen by proxy and put them in a mental institute as opposed to a prison, there's a massive double standard there. This is why I don't actually believe that Gypsy Rose or Ryan Anderson should be in prison, because the crime of Munchausen is extreme. There could have actually been a time when Dee Dee could have killed Gypsy. And by that stage, obviously it's too late, because Munchausen is not seen as a bad illness, no matter how many people have died from this.
Revisiting this case, I discover new evidence that suggests Alice may have faked her way out of prison and into the relative comfort of a secure hospital.
As a matter of fact, Munchausen syndrome by proxy has been a major contributing factor as to why there have been really bad reports of SID death. Back in the early 60s, Dr. Alfred Sinclair used Juanita Hoyt as an example as to why SIDS was actually genetic. And she was killing her babies. So this is the power of Munchausen. And yet for some strange reason, we have not actually been giving the victims of these crimes the justice they deserve. Mary Noe is actually a woman who got away with it for 50 years. And when she finally got caught, she didn't go to prison. She was allowed to live her life completely free, because then scientists wanted to work on her and understand why a woman would want to kill her children. And now we have a whole new meaning to that phrase called felicide. Felicide is whenever a mother will kill her child. These are not things that are small. These are big things. And for some strange reason, people just don't want to put Munchausen by proxy into the same category as psychopathy or the Dark Triad. Maybe it's because there's a certain degree of anxiety with people that do have Munchausen with the hero complex, such as Dee Dee Blanchett. Maybe she did have a slight amount of anxiety to ever be caught, but the rest of them Nah, no, absolutely not.
I can tolerate it, but I can't give a crap about it.
I really do think that the justice system really needs to reevaluate its idea of Munchausen by proxy. Although it is a very rare disorder, it needs to be taken care of because the amount of people that go undetected is insane. But then again, of course, if you look at the story of Gypsy Rose and the fact that doctors were actually willing to cut her open, perform surgeries, remove parts of her with no evidence whatsoever, it also goes to show how stupid doctors are. Like, that is remarkable that there was nothing wrong with this girl and she had parts of her removed for no reason. But I say all the time, doctors are the dumbest people on earth, like, because I have still yet to meet an intelligent one. I think the worst idea that we have is the very fact that we are not actually willing to look at Munchausen by proxy for the very criminal act that it is and just put it as a mental illness. People need to start reevaluating what this is and how deadly it can be, instead of putting someone in a mental institute as opposed to a prison because they've killed children. Anyway, I hope you've learned something from this, guys. If you have enjoyed this episode, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, say whatever you want. It's not going to affect me. I'm already traumatized. All right, guys, I will see you next time for another episode of Trauma Pond HQ. Mwah. Love ya.